siloing. So yesterday I was reading about the situation in Gaza with children starving. I mean, obviously adults have been starving as well, but children, they're saying they're starving so much that they're going blind. And you see all these pictures. They actually didn't show great pictures. They showed emaciated children, but it's not like the ones you see in Africa where their bellies are pouched out. Anyways, they're starving there. It's really sad. And I was just thinking about a situation over there. And you go back to our work, right? How do we handle it here? Dealing with the fact that there's so much war, famine, all these things in other parts of the world. It seems like a world away, but it's not actually. It's just a quick hop on a plane and you're there in less than a day. But I think for me, the main gist of it is we silo. We isolate this and that. We say, okay, I just focus on one thing at a time. That's what's in front of me. I think in my case, working in a hospital, we think about individual patients as in our patients. We don't really care about other people's patients. We just want to make sure our patients are taken care of. And that's good enough. That's what we can do. Is that a good thing? Everybody's taught to think about a long-term plan. But in our case, we don't really have a long-term plan, right? What are we going to do down the road when our patient's older and sicker? We don't know. But we don't think too far ahead. And yet we tell people that you gotta think far in advance. Do we actually do that? I mean, siloing is a protective mechanism. It really is. It's like when I remember in residency, one co-resident's father was in ICU, pretty ill. And yet she was still there at work, doing her job. Is that appropriate? Are we supposed to not let things affect us? Is that good for us? In med school, the teacher said, a cortisone known as, I forgot what he said. He said it in Spanish. I don't know why. But it says your heart is not a treasure chest. It's not a storage chest. It's not a place you store stuff. What does he mean by that? He means you don't take it home with you. You may encounter this or that at work, but you leave it at work because you have the rest of your life, your family. I think that's a very interesting point and a lesson that doctors, people who work in jobs with a lot of stress, have to do to preserve the rest of their family, right? My dad always commented on how Grandpa was somehow strange, different, because even though he was a general in the military, he didn't treat his children that way. He wasn't very strict. And his response was, when Dad asked him why, that he works at the military, but his home is not the military. He doesn't treat them like that. My grandma's completely opposite. It's funny. She didn't work at the military at all. But I think that's the